Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Talking About the Big Stuff podcast with Michael Cole and Matthew Cravat. I am Michael Cole.
And I am Matthew Cravat.
And we're live. Sorry, I just wanted to say it like that.
Yeah,
I want to sound like an advertising guy.
Ooh, advertisement guy. That's like a theme.
Yeah. We should do pre-show shenanigans. I mean, we kind of do. Not in the same way. All right. So, everybody, tonight's topic is advertising. How did I word it on the thing? It was susceptibility to advertising.
Yeah. And I wanted to layer in parenting on top of that because I think that's an important job of a parent is to teach their kids how to deal with advertising.
Oh yeah, and I brought that up actually. I put the topic on the list because I'm bad at it, at susceptibility. I mean, here's the thing. I don't know that I buy a lot of the shit, but like, and it's regional, so it's gonna be a little different for everybody. But like, there's always those ads that they had the jingle that were kind of regional. A lot of times it's furniture stores.
The jingles and the jangles, and once you hear them, you can't.
But like, I could probably do 5 right off the bat for you right now from Massachusetts, and some of them the jingles and the taglines and everything else I haven't heard a couple of them I haven't heard in like 20 years. One of them I want to find on YouTube because I want to show people. So let me just back up. I think that the most regional advertising you're ever going to get, the most like specific to your culture as a region or a state, is furniture. I think from what I've seen, it's this weird little thing. When I lived in Denver, American Furniture Warehouse had this creepy guy named Jake Jabs, and he would shoot these ads with fucking tigers and and people like loved the guy. I met him. He was a fucking douchebag. I worked for him, so I met him. But so and that was such a weird Colorado thing. But in Massachusetts, we have a lot. We had 3 or 4 big furniture stores that all had their own specific advertising. And there's one that I've been wanting to find because I consider it the most Boston ever, but I cannot find it on YouTube. They're no longer in business, but it's this guy named Dean, and it was Dean's Home Furniture. And he had the thickest Massachusetts accent ever. And his catchphrase was, you'd say, can those other guys beat a 4-bedroom set for $9.99? I doubt it. But he would say it, and I'm going to do this, and this is very accurate. So all my Massachusetts listeners will be like, "Oh yeah, I know what he's talking about." But everybody else will be like, "There's no fucking way. He's got to be exaggerating." I promise you, I'm not exaggerating. Can those other guys beat $9.99 for 4 different pieces of furniture? I doubt it. And every single ad would be, I doubt it. And then he was bought by Bob's Furniture, and Bob did it for a little bit, but you cannot find Dean's on YouTube. I looked high and low. I want so bad to find Dean's Home Furniture. I doubt it to show people, but
why is it always furniture companies?
I don't know why.
But like, it seems like that's the regional ad that's always the best.
Yeah, and so I've never had cable television in North Carolina, so I don't know the advertising situation here. But I will say that North Carolina has more mattress firms than any other fucking place I've ever been. I've never seen
shopping
so many
center.
Mattress stores, and they almost all seem to be Mattress Firm.
Mattress Firm, Mattress Factory, Original Mattress Factory.
Yeah.
Those always. So when I was growing up, there was a carpet company in Manhattan. They were on 18th Street and 4th Avenue, I think. I think I'm going to say 4th Avenue. 5th Avenue. 18th Street, 5th Avenue. Walking distance from my dad's store, so I used to pass it. I used to get chicken salad sub at the Andy's Deli across the street from it. And it was ABC Carpet. And there was this old Jewish guy in the commercial, and he'd be like, they like a voice off camera and be like, "Hey, Jerry, what's the story?" And he'd be like, "I got sales you won't believe." And he'd like lift his hands up, and he was a big fat guy, and his shirt would ride up, so his belly was hanging out of his shirt. Every ad, like that was his ad. They say whatever the specials were that week in good old New York City. And then turned out that my next door neighbor's grandfather worked for him. And like as a kid, I didn't know that. But like I saw his Gramps walking out of the store one day when I was working for my dad years later, like on weekends or holidays in my dad's store. And I went over and I was like, "Hey, Grandpa Lou." And he was like, "What do you bother me at work, kid?" I was like, "You work at ABC Carpet? Like, what's the story, Jerry?" He goes, "Yeah, it's my boss." It's like, awesome.
Other podcasts offer their Patreon feeds for only $3 a month for 4 or more episodes per month? I doubt it. Do other podcasts offer their Patreon feeds uncensored for only $3 a month for 4 or more episodes? I doubt it. Go to patreon.com/talking about the big stuff to get Talking About the Big Stuff uncensored every single week for only $3 a month. I bet those other guys can't do that.
Yeah. The big ones that we had in Massachusetts, Bob's was discount furniture, Dean's was discount furniture, but we had two big ones that would kind of put those ones to shame. Oh, and there's Rotman's too. I'm forgetting about Rotman. See, if I may not like buy shit from you, but if you advertise to me, you'll be in my head for the next 30 years. But there was two. There was one that was it was called Jordan's Furniture, and they were really weirdly gimmicky. I think they were considered the better furniture of any. I wouldn't say chain. There was like 3 or 4 locations across the state, and their advertising would be interesting. It was two brothers, and they had set up. There was an IMAX theater in a furniture store. That's where, like, if you live in Central Massachusetts and you want to go see IMAX, you go to a furniture store to go see IMAX movies, and they have butt kicker seats, which are they have speakers in the seat so that when, like, I saw Gravity there, and like every time there's like a big boom, you feel it in your ass.
That's why I don't go to theaters anymore.
Yeah. But then there was Bernie and Phil's, which was a husband and wife. Her name was Phyllis. And I don't know if she was a doctor, but they called her Dr. Phil. And this was before Dr. Phil was famous. And there was these ads where it was Bernie and Phil, quality, comfort, and price. That's nice. And every one of their ads would have like weird little gimmicks where Bernie was dreaming. And he'd be like, "I dreamt that furniture sets were only $9.99," and then his wife would be like, "That's not a nightmare. That's a dream." And that was the whole ad, was that they would just like it sucks because they're like, there's nothing to say about it, but it sticks in my head.
So let's talk about good and bad advertising.
Yes.
So the Aristotelian ideal ad, the way an ad should be formatted in the perfect world.
This is how Aristotle shot it. How Aristotle pitched
he did
advertising.
Yeah, this is how he did his ads. So here's the ideal ad.
Must have been good.
You set up a problem. This is the problem my customer has. This is my product as the solution to the problem. Here is a reason to believe that my product is the solution, and then a call to action, telling the customer what to do to get your product. And that is the quintessential correct way to do an ad 9 times out of 10. Mm-hmm. And what's funny is how ad companies forget that, ad agencies forget that, especially if they have a successful ad campaign. So one of the most successful ad campaigns of all time. Do you remember the MasterCard Priceless campaign? Where they'd be like, tickets to the ball game, $52. Baseball caps, $25. New glove, $120. Spending the day with my son, priceless. Like, that was an amazing ad because it showed, like, at the beginning, visually, the father and the son weren't near each other, and then you got the problem is how do you bond with your kid, and here's how you bond with your kid. And it's all this stuff, but how do you buy that stuff? Got his MasterCard, priceless. Boom, it's a beautiful ad. And it made MasterCard go from going out of business, like everyone had American Express and Visa, nobody had MasterCard, to like back on top because it became so popular. But then after like the 10th version of that ad, it became any random thing priceless without any of the buildup and the emotion because they forgot what made it work.
Right.
So when I took a course in advertising and in proper marketing materials. So that's where I kind of got that frame from. And the woman teaching the course was from Procter and Gamble, like one of the biggest, well, dry goods, whole, products and soap products and everything chemical, everything home companies, right? And she was like VP of marketing there. And she talked about how she did her stock portfolio by watching TV ads and seeing which ads did not follow the formula and selling her stock in those companies, and which ads did follow the formula and buying stock in those. Because she's like, their sales are going to go down because they got too caught up in a fun commercial. And her classic example was the Budweiser Frogs commercial, the Budweiser. She goes, everybody loved those commercials. Everybody remembers those commercials. Everybody bought the towels, the clock on the wall, posters, all these Budweiser, frog stuff. But nobody was buying Budweiser beer because nothing about that commercial said you're thirsty. Budweiser is a beer to satisfy you because it's natural water from the Rockies and whatever blah 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 and as a reason to believe, and then buy a beer in the store near you. Like it didn't have any of the four elements, so their sales went down. When Heineken at the same time saw that, and they were like, "Oh, these commercials suck," So what they did was their commercial was a picture of Heineken, a stein of Heineken beer with condensation going down the side, and a camera slowly panning around it to watch this like cool, refreshing beer, and the voiceover Heineken. It's all about the beer. So they didn't really follow the four things either, but they just showed you the perfect beer with that reason to believe, just by looking at it. With the visual was your reason to believe that it's the best beer, and their sales shot up while Budweiser's was sinking. So I taught my kids at an early age how to watch for those things in the commercial and figure out what they're trying, like what are they trying to sell you, why are they trying to sell it to you, and what are they telling you to make you believe it. And it was like stupid things, be like certs with a Retsin. The hell is Retsin? Yeah, it's a reason to believe. It sounds like something scientific is in it. It must be good.
Yep. We had in my house growing up, my dad was a strong believer in not rewarding bad advertising. And if we were watching TV and he didn't, and I'm not saying like if he didn't like an ad, but if he thought an ad was insulting to your intelligence or was annoying or anything else, he would say, "None of you buy that right now." And so and these weren't like boycotts for any kind of ethical purpose. They were just like, that was an obnoxious ad. We're not buying that.
Oh, the head on attach, apply it directly to the forehead. Headache medicine. Remember that one? Like
No.
it was a horrible ad that was like repeatedly over and over. People, head on. You apply it to your forehead. It was repeatedly. And it was so cheaply made and annoying. And then after 3 months or so, the new ad came on. Head on, and it would freeze and go up in the corner. And someone goes, "You remember? That ad? Really annoying ad, but the product really works." And then they would do a real ad that had the four elements, and they just did the first one just as an awareness thing, so you would remember the name of the medicine. And then
that's
they
awesome.
and then they had to overcome the fact that everybody hated the ad. Like they knew everybody would hate the ad, but they had to overcome that. I'm never going to buy that because that ad is annoying. But it got it in people's heads.
Nice.
Like nobody bought it from the first ad, but the second ad had a chance. I asked my son when we talked about doing this topic today. I asked one of my sons, "Do you remember any commercials that like I watched with you?" Because I used to actively watch TV with them and talk about commercials with them, so they wouldn't get the susceptibility as badly. And instantly he was like, "Guess who?" Because the game Guess Who, it was like a board with little faces of different cartoon characters, and you had to say, "Does your guy have glasses?" Whatever. Does yours have a smile?
Racial profiling, the board game.
Yeah, and
I love that game.
yeah, but because you're from Massachusetts, and
yeah, but it was just racial profiling a bunch of different kind of white people. Because unless you pulled the one black person, it was just like, is your guy a redheaded white?
Is your guy a thug? Yeah. And but I remember the commercial, they would animate the characters. Like they're looking at the pictures and they would smile and they go, "Ooh," and they do all kinds of funny faces. And he said, I remember the most is you watching that and you saying, "Do you think it really does that?" And us being like, "Well, you wouldn't ask us if the answer was yes." So we were like, "No." Him and his brother. And then I'd say, Now look how much fun they're having playing. Do you think a game where you just ask, does he have glasses, and you say yes or no, is as much fun as they're having? And he goes on, I remember my brother saying, they're actor kids. They told them to pretend it's fun. And you were like, yeah. It's like every commercial, you'd be like, what are those kids? And we'd be like, actors. They're not really having fun.
Yeah. I mean, they could have actually been having fun raking in that sweet Guess Who dough, but
Yeah, sweet, sweet college money that their parents would end up embezzling from them. They'd have to sue their parents for emancipation.
I didn't say
money
they
back.
are currently having fun. I said they may have been having fun at the time. Speaking of game ads, and advertising obviously has just changed so much in the last 20 years, but game ads for apps, like game apps on your phone.
Oh, I'm with your father on that. Like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
I will never get that game because I know it's not the game you're showing me in the app. So there's no way I will ever download your game.
It drives me crazy. For a long time, I would like go click it, go through the screenshots that they have on the App Store. If the screenshots don't match the ad, I would report it, or not report it. I would don't show me this anymore, or whatever.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
it.
Hide the app. We got me. I think I got I downloaded like one because it looked cool, and I was like, oh, you get one screen that's like one mini game that's like the game for every 6 hours of play, and every game is the same. It's always a matching crystals game or something.
Yes.
Or find the hidden object in the house, on the screen or whatever. It's one of those two things or a combination to get to the cool thing. Oh, look at your Royal Quest.
I do happen to love Bejeweled style games.
Yeah, I do. I'm like to me, I have that on my phone right now because I just got a new phone and it came pre-installed, and I'm like, this game is fine. I wish the ads weren't what they were, and
Yeah.
and I like what annoys me with the ads more than anything else, even the ads that are accurate, because the Royal King or whatever that is has that part of the element fairly regularly. You get to one of those
every
screens
3 or 4 levels or something like
yeah. So what really annoys me is that, and they do this in a lot of the games, the character playing the game in the ad is stupid. And you're watching and going, it's that move there. Why don't you just do that move? There's that one where
Sorry.
there's that one game where it's like someone shooting guns and there's like medieval people attacking, and then there's like carts full of barrels and with a number on it. If they shoot fast enough, they get more weapons. And they're always aiming at the wrong barrel. Like they aim at the closest one. I'm like,
aiming at the number the
480
400 on it that's coming.
Yeah, like
there's one that's like 1-2, and you're
like you're never gonna get that. I'm like, and I know what you want. You want me to say I'm smarter than that person. I'm gonna download that game and I'll show them how to play. But I'm never gonna download that game because of that.
That's the new version of when they used to do the As Seen on TV. Ads.
I'll buy every one of those, and if it's As Seen on TV, I'm buying it.
No, it's not the products, but that I have a problem with. It's the guy that they get, and they're like, "Have you ever accidentally pierced your eardrum while applying while shaving your ears
while bedazzling your vagina?"
And they're like, and then they show like the dumbest looking guy, and he's like, and you can see it come out the other side practically, and you're like no, because I'm not. I'm not intentionally trying to kill myself. Like,
I posted something about Billy Mays in the last year, and his son replied to it. I forgot, it's on social media. I made a reference to Billy Mays being one of the greatest pitchmen of all time, and I miss him. And his son replied.
Nice. He really was.
I'm happy I didn't insult him. I wasn't using him as a punchline. I actually was saying he was good at his job.
Yeah, I love the weird little celebrity adjacent. I mean, and Billy Mays being a celebrity is.
Well, he earned it from the ads. I mean,
but the celebrity adjacent like things that you get like randomly on like Twitter and stuff. Like at one time, I randomly, I did not pick her; she picked me. George Carlin's daughter retweeted something that I posted one time, and I was like, "Oh, that's so cool!" And then for some random reason, I think it was I think this is all the Chocolate Diamond Media Twitter account, which probably doesn't even exist anymore because I don't use Twitter. But
there's no such thing as Twitter; it's called X.
But the other person that randomly followed me on there was
Nancy Sinatra.
No, what's the girl that sings "Every Time I See Your Bubbly Face"?
You're
Every time I
asking
see
the
your
wrong
bubbly-
person.
Yeah. Her dad randomly followed me. I was like, who the fuck is this person? And I clicked in, and it was like verified, because it was the first person that followed me that had a check. I'm like, who is this person, and why do they have a check? And so I clicked it, and it was not Kaylee Cuoco. It's something similar to that. Oh man,
That's the
yes, I know who that
Big
is.
Bang chick.
I mean, I think that's derogatory, but okay.
I didn't name the show. It's the girl from the last witch to join Charmed. How about that?
Colby Calais. Her dad randomly liked me. You know who I'm talking about or no?
She's a cheese as far as I know.
Colby, yeah. The song is what, 2000? Oh, it's 2007. Okay. I thought
Sure
it was
it
longer
is.
than that ago.
Sure it is.
She was, I think she was like a one-hit wonder, but her dad randomly.
My musical evolution stopped way before then.
Yeah. That's the problem, is that you let it stop. Evolution doesn't stop. Evolution is a train that keeps on rolling.
It restarted again when Leah became old enough to bring her own music into the house, and I hear things from her.
Yeah, I'm starting to get that with Logan. Last week he was asking me if I've ever listened, if I like Travis Scott, and I'm like, I know who that is. I do not know any of his music.
Your son is such a little Republican.
Why?
I don't know. Just assuming it sounds like a redneck country music singer.
Oh no, he's a rapper.
Oh, okay, cool.
He's one of the Kardashians.
An ex-husband of a Kardashian.
As a kid with him, and he was the one that at the concert someone got stomped to death.
Oh yeah. But he was the producer as well as the
yeah
act, so that he got a lot of lawsuits.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't. Logan was like, "Listen to this song," and we listened to it, and I was like, "Okay, it's not mumble rap." So.
You're like, let me tell you something, Logan. I grew up in the days of Eminem. You're not going to show me any rapper who's as good as Eminem, so just give it up now.
Yeah, I am an Eminem fan.
I know you are.
Yeah. He's not the only rapper. He's not even the first rapper I liked. The first rapper I liked was probably DMX, then Ludacris.
For me, I think it was Sugar Hill Gang.
First of all, most people barely consider that rap. That's hip hop.
They were the first. It was the first. They were the first rappers.
Yeah, they didn't write their own shit, and it was so corny, and like even the rap community doesn't really accept.
Right, but they invented it. It's like I said, when you invented it, you didn't invent it right.
Okay, does a studio plant inventing that count? No, they didn't invent it. They were the first ones to get it on radio. You should read Jay-Z's book. He explains the history of hip hop, because hip hop, as we white people know it, and as it was introduced to the masses, yes, they were the first ones that we heard, and because they.
Well, I mean, it was also actually, in the DJs, the black DJs in Queens and in the black station New York, they rapped in between the songs. Like that was their way of introducing songs. They would make up raps.
Yeah.
Before,
and
I know these. I lived through the '60s and '70s. I know these things.
And it
I just
came
don't.
From playing
It's not funny to say that. So I didn't say that because I do funny things. And saying Sugar Hill invented it is funny. Saying that people who invented it is not funny. It's informative. I don't give a shit about informative. This is the internet. The internet's not about informative. It's about funny. It's about entertaining. It's about clicks.
This podcast is about information, education, and entertainment. Hip hop. We should have an episode about hip hop.
You can do that one in October when I'm on vacation.
Are you on a vacation? Nice.
Yeah, our anniversary's coming up. We're going to Virginia.
Wait, how many years? 32?
Maybe.
What year did you get married?
31. Number 31.
No.
92. We got married in 92.
Our anniversary is Thursday, and it'll be 9 years. 9 years is the willow/ceramic anniversary, but if you're into the modern anniversary structures, it looked like it was leather, which I told Sarah was probably where I'm going to go with that.
That makes sense.
Maybe her leather daddy.
Let's see. Traditional 32nd is a divorce papers, apparently. Traditional gift for 32nd anniversary is divorce papers.
feel like if you've been together 32 years and it ends, like I get it sometimes, but like it feels like something went horribly awry.
You know the old joke that the two 90-year-olds who walk into a divorce lawyer and say, "We're getting a divorce," and the lawyer's like, "What do you mean you're getting a divorce? You were married 63 years." "Ah, we wanted to wait till the children were dead."
That's awesome.
So I just looked it up, and the traditional gift is transportation themed. And for our anniversary, my wife booked us a Verbo house, apartment, whatever, in Harrisonburg or something, Virginia. It's out in the Shenandoah Valley, the Blue Ridge Mountains. There's a bunch of wineries, vineyards there we really like in that area. So we're going there. Gonna drink a lot of wine.
I like how this podcast started with you bragging about a threesome that never happened, and now you're like, we're going to a winery.
Yeah, that's the way the world goes.
All right. Well, next time we will talk. No, I'm just joking. What is our topic? Oh, advertising.
Advertising. So have you been teaching Logan how to spot bad advertising, or at least how to talk him down from commercials or ads he's seen on YouTube for things that he suddenly wants, and you're like, that's not going to make you happy, kid.
No. However, yesterday at his third, we saw we went to a bunch of different stores, and they had toys, and we weren't going there for toys, but we'd already bought him a bunch of shit, and he kept, every time we'd go in, he'd be like, I want that, and he would start throwing temper tantrums, and we pulled him outside, and I was like, hey, actually, at one point, he was starting to cry, and he was throwing a temper tantrum in the middle of the store, and not yelling or sternly, but very sarcastically, I said, when will it be enough? And Sarah just looked at me like, seriously? And then we went outside, and we were like, hey, sometimes we just go in places to see, the store that we went into had very authentic lightsabers, which is why I went in. We're not spending $300 on a fucking lightsaber, but he saw stuff that was cheaper that he did want, and I was like, you gotta rein this in.
Yeah. So here's what we did.
Start really coming in, and since I refused to use your cuteness for money purposes.
So what we did when they were getting the age where the things they wanted were too expensive to just buy, they weren't just cheap little tchotchkes anymore, was the wonderful world of Amazon wish list, gift list things. Say, you like that? Let's pull off the Amazon app. We'll add it to your wish list, and we'll keep track of what you want. And when birthday season comes around, Hanukkah season, we'll see which things you still want. And so we go in and edit and take things off. And half the things they were like, why is this on it? Because you saw it in a store once. Mm-hmm. And once they weren't in the store, they had no idea why they wanted it in the first place.
Yeah.
So the instant gratification became adding it to the list instead of putting it in the cart.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Of course it's a good idea.
I have to do that. I will say, advertising was so much. I wish we could go back to, and this is going to sound so old man shakes fist at cloud, but I wish we could go back to the time before the algorithm, where everyone saw the same stupid fucking ads. There are some ads that we all see that, the games that are lying to us, ads and stuff, but that's one of the benefits of cable television was that, if I turned on MASH to watch MASH, and you turned on MASH, we're going to see all the same ads. And now if I go on Hulu and watch Only Murders Happen in This Building, you'll see different ads than I do. I called that out today or not?
Because Martin Short's not funny?
Yeah.
Actually, he is hysterically funny. Don't misquote me on this. I think Martin Short is hysterical. Just go on YouTube and watch a series of his appearances on talk shows insulting the host, and he's the best.
I get that he's not everybody's taste. I love Will Ferrell, and I know people who are like, he's so stupid, he's such a buffoon, and it's just obnoxious. And to me, Martin Short is in that same category of it's a very taste specific humor, and there are taste specific humor people.
But he's a
who I don't
master
find-
of it, whether you like it or not. He's a
Yeah.
master of it.
Yeah, but like if I don't find somebody funny, and I can acknowledge that it's a taste specific thing, I'm just like, yeah, it's just not for me. Like, I can't think of a good example because I find so much funny, but as a comedy connoisseur, you're a comedy expert. I'm a comedy connoisseur.
I'm a comedy connoisseur. I'm the connoisseur that absorbs anything.
Anyway, but I wish that I miss some of the simplicity of that.
Of everybody having the same cultural reference points.
Some of that, also like there was obviously the creepiness of it was there was less creepiness to if we're all gonna see like take 2 and call me in the morning every Tylenol whatever, like if we all saw that, it's like, yeah, I mean they don't know that I happen to have a headache today. Yeah. Whereas when we see something now, we're like, okay,
always wondering.
Why is it suggesting to me a trip to the town that my family is from in Italy that nobody's ever fucking heard of?
Yeah. But it's really funny now because now it may be that it used a profile on you and knows that you were near your dad and his phone. He had looked it up one time, and so it was in his cookies, and they know that your phones were together, so they transfer to you because and they target you that way. Or it may be you've seen ads for 30 different locations, and that's the only one that stood out to you because you had a connection, and you don't know which it is anymore because it used to just be the other one. It used to be things were random, and the things that actually spoke to you, you noticed. But now it could be either or.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you know the story of what happened with Target when they were doing personalized mailings to people?
No.
They there's this thing where people were complaining that Target sent them stuff about babies before they told their spouse they were pregnant, because Target's algorithm recognized the things they were buying were first trimester pregnancy things, like more likely. So they sent them stuff about diapers and about formula and stuff in their weekly flyer, and it was like a flyer that was all about pregnancy. And they started getting in trouble because they were too good at spotting it. So what they did was, they're not going to lose that ability. They changed their brochure. Instead of being 100% personalized, it was an 8-page brochure, and the first 2 pages, like the cover and first page, and the back cover and inside of that were the same for everyone in the zip code or whatever around that store. But then the inserted page of 4 pages was personalized to you. So, if you looked, all your neighbors got the same thing. Nobody knew what it was. But then inside it happened to have stuff that was personalized to you, but it didn't look as targeted because half the stuff you didn't care about.
And why, honey, why does yours have dildos? Nobody else's has dildos.
Yeah. Well, the mailman would know. Yours is all dildos.
Oh my God. I got to tell you.
And Amazon did the same thing. With Amazon's You May Also Like thing was so spookily on target, people were canceling their account because it was tracking them too much. So that's why you get random shit that looks stupid, because it intentionally puts in stuff that's off target so you won't realize how well they can target you.
Nice.
I just had a nightmare that Talking About the Big Stuff was censored every single episode.
That's not a nightmare, that's a dream, because actually they're uncensored on the Patreon. Patreon.com/Talking About the Big Stuff.
I don't know. I had a friend who she called me up and told me she was thinking of marrying a guy, and she ended up marrying him and ended up getting divorced years later. But not for this reason. He got divorced because he cheated on her. But she had said that the one thing she said about marrying him was his orgasms were so mild she couldn't feel it in her, and that was her favorite thing about sex, was feeling a guy's orgasm. And that she was like, I'm never going to feel that again when I marry him.
Damn. The famous Harry Met Sally scene.
Uh-huh.
And how we all
Katz's Delicatessen.
Yep. I know that no woman has ever faked an orgasm with me.
Because they didn't bother.
I wish they would. I wish just once somebody would fake an orgasm.
There was one obscure comedy movie lore. Do you remember the movie? Did you ever see the movie? I shouldn't say remember, because it was out before your time, but maybe you've seen it since. Private Benjamin.
Yeah, with Goldie
With
Hawn.
Goldie Hawn, yeah,
It's
exactly.
been a long time, and I don't remember much about it.
Yeah, there's a scene where she
Pretty sure it was before I was born, before my time.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it wasn't a movie you would have seen in the movies or anything. But there's a thing where she gets married, nice Jewish boy, what typical thing. But he dies like while they're having sex one night, and then she ends up somehow joining the army, whatever, and she ends up stationed in Europe, and she has sex with a French guy. And the scene of the after the sex is her going, "Is that what I've been faking all these years?"
Nice. Very nice. She won an Oscar for that, I think.
For Private, I don't think she won an Oscar for that. I think Eileen Brennan may have won something for it.
You could be right. I'm looking it up.
Because Eileen Brennan was brilliant in it. So she may have been a best supporting.
I'm looking it up.
In a bad comedy.
Yeah. When it comes to advertising, I just feel like sorry, I got IMDb up. Oh, it won. It got nominated for leading actress, supporting actress, and screenplay.
I can't believe she got a nomination for that.
Yeah.
I don't remember it being that good of a movie.
Well, you would have been 11 or 13 or 14, I guess, 81.
Yeah, I was 14.
Yeah. Maybe the
what did it win for?
Taste as a 14-year-old.
It won for writing.
No, it says nominated.
Oh, sorry, Writers Guild of America it won for.
Sorry. Oh yeah.
Sorry, there's always another one spot.
So what I was going to say is with the algorithm, with the advertising, like there's some fun stuff, and I think because of the algorithm, different things are getting advertised. Not to me specifically, but I think advertisers who maybe didn't advertise much before are advertising now. Like we're seeing more luxury vehicles and things advertising than probably did before. You'd see Mercedes, but you wouldn't see other things like because you're gonna go on the Super Bowl and have like a Ferrari ad. Nobody's gonna buy a fucking Ferrari from an ad on a Super Bowl. Like it advertising just didn't make sense for. So you get to see different
Super Bowl ads weren't as expensive when I was a kid as they are. Like Super Bowl hadn't become the ad thing until was the biggest one was 1984, I think, when Apple did the first ad for the Mac. And I think it was already expensive then because they all their budget went to that one ad. But that ad was so huge that's after that it just went astronomical.
Yeah. But I think that part of the algorithm making these other things come up is I find it fun because on Instagram I get a lot of ads for hold on one second. I get ads for very expensive watches. And it's awesome because I'll go click on the ads and I'm never fucking buying anything. Like I got ads for $75,000 watches and it's like, fuck you. I'm not buying this. However, I will spend 30 minutes on their website looking at all the stupid options. And I'm not doing it because I'm not doing it to mess with the algorithm. I'm doing it because I would never go find a store. But if I'm scrolling absentmindedly and you advertise something to me that I can't ever afford, I can play around, I can look at it. Same thing with camera stuff. Oh my God, I get $95,000 lens kits advertised to me all the time. Stuff that I'm, not going to be able to afford until we get 1,000 patrons.
Yeah, I get hit with Musician's Friend ads all the time. And so, Musician's Friend's a music website. I think it's the same as Guitar Center because my dad once had an issue buying a guitar from them, and it was Guitar Center who called us and made it good, gave him an extra discount and stuff. Actually, he didn't have a problem. He ordered something, which was great. And then they called or they emailed from Guitar Center saying, yeah, we're the ones that were going to fulfill it. But the only guitar we have left of that model that you bought was a floor model. And it's in perfect condition. It's not messed up in any way. You would never know, but we felt we had to let you know that it is a floor model. And then my dad talked him into a 10% more discount, even though it was already 40% discount because it was the Musician's Friend call. They're not a sponsor, but they have something called the Stupid Deal of the Day. And you should know about this, Michael. You should. Because the Stupid Deal of the Day is ridiculously discounted things. And sometimes it's microphones and mixers and other audio equipment that's on there besides instruments. But because my dad and I have bought my daughter a couple of things, my dad's bought a bunch of things for himself, I have to check the stupid deal of the day every day, and so I get ads for it wherever I go.
What website is this?
Musiciansfriend.com.
No.
I think the stupid deal of the day is a D'Angelico or something like that. D'Angelico semi-hollow electric guitar is what it is. Navy blue one today, I think, but it changes every day.
Well, Logan's really into music shit.
Yeah, they got Leah her concert ukulele there, her electric guitar.
I believe it's pronounced ukulele. I've been.
Oh yes, you're right. You're right. I'm sorry. It is a ukulele. You're correct. It is her ukulele.
I want watching the Doogie Howser remake, Doogie Kamealoha or something.
Okay.
I cannot say. It's on Disney Plus.
All right, I didn't know that.
It takes place in Hawaii,
yeah.
So we're like, we'll watch this. And but we've been watching it, and they talk about the ukuleles a lot.
Yeah, it is ukulele. I just grew up in the '70s when it was mispronounced all the time.
Yeah. The stupid deal of the day today is that the Angelico Premier Series Bedford SH Limited
Navy
Edition
blue
electric guitar
Navy
with
blue.
tremolo. I don't know what tremolo is, but navy blue.
But if you click through to look at it and you look at the full size or the head of the guitar, what makes that guitar so sweet is that the very head of the guitar. It's a very Art Deco-y 1940s look. Apparently, this guy was a master guitar maker. My dad, dream was to own one of his guitars when he was growing up, and then this is like a licensed. They brought back his style and licensed his name or whatever. Not him because he'd be long dead. But my dad has bought three of the guitars because it was his dream to own this branded guitar. And when it's a stupid deal of the day and it's like $300 or $400 instead of $800 or $1,000, he can't help but buy a couple. One of them he gave to Leah. He gave her her choice. He's like, "Here's three. Pick the one you want."
This site's cool. If they had boom mics, I would get them here. But it looks like it's all music.
Mostly music related, yeah.
Sometimes there is overlap between film audio and music audio, but yeah.
Yeah, we're actually, my dad and I are waiting for a good singer's microphone to get for Leah. So she, after she did a outdoor event recently with a mic that we borrowed from him, and it went really well. We're like, okay, she needs a mic, so if she gets called upon to do an outdoor event, she can sing her little heart out.
Yeah.
And we'll advertise it because that's what we're talking about. Advertising.
Yeah. This is I'll say slightly off topic, but kind of tangentially related. So I remember hearing from Tarantino. He called me one time. No, Tarantino had talked about how he would find old movies and stuff, and because Tarantino's kind of well known for his movie taste, but also because he incorporates so much homages.
Yeah, everything he does is an homage and a callback.
Yeah, and so and somebody was asking him about how he accumulated that knowledge, and it was interesting because he said something along the lines of, this was before Netflix and the algorithms, and if you wanted to watch something, you'd turn on the TV or you'd go to Blockbuster and you'd rent a tape. Mm-hmm. If it was stupid 5 minutes in, you couldn't shut it off and go find something else. You would stick with it unless it was just horribly offensive to you for some reason.
Your friends are over, you've got popcorn, you're sitting together, you're watching the movie.
You're not finding something else. You're watching that thing, whether that thing is good or bad. And and sometimes that was sometimes you'd watch a lot of shit, but then every once in a while you'd watch something that you may have given up on if you only watched the first 5 minutes and judged it based on the first 5 minutes. And I think that is something algorithmically that we're losing out on, and I wonder about that advertising wise. I literally, so Sarah has Sirius XM radio, and today she added me to her plan so that I could have it, and she texted me at work and was like, "What's your VIN?" And I was like, "I don't know my VIN number." And
I've got it tattooed on the inside of my leg.
It's on my scrot. But I was talking to Suba, and when that happened, and she's like, "Why does she need it?" I'm like, "Oh," and then I found out Sarah's getting me Sirius. She's like, "Why would you pay for that?" And I'm like, "I don't pay for that. Sarah likes it." However, I do like every once in a while listening to the radio, because what you don't get is outside random influence.
The auto ads.
And if you go on like Apple Music or Spotify, it's algorithm. So it's like, well, you liked A, B, and C, so you'll like D. But sometimes with the radio, because our tastes are not built the same structural way. Like I love my two favorite movies are The Godfather 2 and Man on the Moon with Jim Carrey.
It's pretty much
An
the same movie.
An algorithm would never make that connection. But like, and that's part of the thing that we're missing out on is that yes, the algorithm is very good at finding stuff that you will like, but it's not good at finding everything you will like.
Yeah, it finds things that you could have guessed you would like.
Yes, yeah, and so like that's I think the benefit to radio and to some less choosable television. Like I don't pay. I'm not going to pay for cable. I don't really see myself ever paying for cable again. Who knows if the apps all die like they're talking about, if Disney Plus and HBO Max or whatever it's called today
Just
all
Max.
go under, maybe I will end up having to get cable again. But like for right now, I really don't see that happening. But like radio, every once in a while, when you want to like clear your head and you don't want, like I know Eminem's going to play, the Beatles Cirque du Soleil album can play, like I have thousands and thousands of songs, but the algorithm knows which ones I skip now, and it doesn't play those anymore. So it's just all the same 300 songs.
Yeah, it's funny because Pandora, like when it started, it was like a musical experiment to expose you to music. Like you thumbed up the ones you like, thumbed down the ones you don't like, and it was like, okay, you liked Billy Joel. It didn't mean it played you more Billy Joel. It was like, okay, you like a single guy with a piano in the back, and it gave you, all of a sudden you got Elton John, and if you didn't like that, it goes, okay, that's not the single guy with the piano is not what you liked. What maybe you like 70s rock, and it would give you things that were it trying to predict things you might like, but the idea in the original experiment was to expose you to music that you would like, but you didn't know existed, and you wouldn't find, and that's why you could have different stations, because you can create different stations starting from different starting points so that you didn't get stuck with always the same thing every time. But today I'm in the mood for bluegrass, so I'll do the bluegrass and you'll find me new bluegrass.
But they would get pretty K-holed pretty quick.
Yeah. Like it wasn't a perfect experiment. But,
And part of it, I guess, for me was that I never wanted to make new stations. I wanted to just I would thumbs up some Billy Joel, and then I would thumbs up some Eminem, and then very quickly it would be like, okay, it's all the Lonely Island that you're listening to now. It's just Lonely Island and Stephen Lynch, and I'm like,
right?
I like comedy.
Let's say that I had a novelty station, and it was tons of Lonely Island and Stephen Lynch. I've never seen Stephen Lynch stand up anywhere, but I know all of his songs.
Yeah, and so like to me, that's the downside of the algorithm is that.
But I never would discover that Biff, Tom Wilson, was a stand-up comic if I didn't have that experience, because I got his songs. Like that's where I discovered he did stand-up.
Yeah, no, I definitely think it has its purpose. I just think that we need to not throw
the baby away with the bathwater.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, my musical taste stopped evolving, and I stopped listening to the radio. Like I don't know new music. Because I don't listen to new music. I don't listen to the radio.
I will say with movies, sometimes having a small child it can be very much the algorithm thing of like, we have to shut this off now. But sometimes it's do not fucking shut this off, because, your kid is like gonna, and I'm like, oh my God, why are we watching this? And then you're like, oh, this was actually pretty good once, because Logan wanted to watch it and we sat there and watched this decent amount, and so I think that does happen because of him. But like, there's a lot of times when it's just Sarah and I picking, where we'll start like 3 things and we'll get like 2 minutes in. I'm like, this is fun. Like I can just tell.
Yeah. And to bring it back to advertising, it's amazing how many movies now fail because the advertising team sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember a little bitty film, a little unknown film called Fight Club. Remember when Fight Club was out?
I don't talk about that. So
yeah, I had no desire to see it. It looked like a stupid movie about underground fighting, and I had zero desire to see it. And then one day on HBO, like I'm getting ready for work in the morning, I just turn HBO to have something on in the background, and I just get transfixed by this movie that's like a third of the way in, and I'm like, what am I watching? And I hit like the info button, and I'm like, this is Fight Club? this looks amazing. So I stopped watching it right there and stopped spoiling it to go back and watch it from the beginning of the day. I'm like, if I had any idea what that movie was about, I would have gone to the theater to see it. But the ads were horrible compared to what the movie was. And I don't know, half the superhero movies that fail are because the ad campaign. Like Blue Beetle
Oh, yeah.
got rave reviews, 93% on Rotten Tomatoes from audience score, but nobody went to see it because the ads look like every other movie.
I listened. Maybe I mentioned this to you last week. I listened to a YouTube video in the last 2 or 3 weeks that was talking about all the blockbusters. Did I tell you this story or no?
No, all the blockbusters closed, man.
No, blockbuster movies. So when Star Wars came out, when Jaws came out, it was a summer movie. It was a blockbuster, and you might have a Woody Allen movie, and you might have
Right, the competition was very different.
right. And so like a Woody Allen movie would get made for at that point in time like $2 million. It had to make $4 million to make a profit, which countrywide wasn't that big of a deal for it to make that kind of money, to make its money back, and then you'd get that occasional blockbuster where everyone would go out and say, I'm going to go see this movie. And so those movies, when they were happening once to maybe 3 times a year, you could count on it because people were like, oh, well, everyone's going to want to go see Jaws. Everyone's going to want to go see Star Wars.
Oh, with Jaws, you didn't know that. Spielberg was not a bankable director at that time.
Right. But as
right. Like Star Wars also, nobody knew it's Star Wars. It was the first science fiction to be like that. By the Return of the Jedi, you knew that everyone's going to go see it.
And so you get to that point and where everyone would go see it, but that was because it was the only blockbuster or one of 3 blockbusters.
Like kids movies always did great. Like a kids movie was going to do great because there was only 2 kids movies out this summer. Every parent had to take their kid to see it.
Yeah. So and so he basically said that every the non-blockbuster movies could make their money back because they didn't, let's say they opened in 5,000 theaters nationwide. They needed like 30 people per theater a day to make their money back. Whereas the blockbusters need to be sold out every single day because you basically need to make 250% of your initial budget, I think, is what they said to be really making a profit, because they're going to spend so much on advertising and shit. So if you make $100 million movie, you need to make about $250 million to really be a box office success. And so $250 million requires everyone to go out, and when everyone when you have 9 in March, we had 5 blockbuster movies. We had Dungeons and Dragons. I can't remember all the other ones, but there's 5 movies that should have been blockbusters. So that's 1 every weekend. If the weekends are timed up right, it might have been 1 every weekend plus 2 on one of the weekends. And they're like, we need the entire movie going audience to invest, $100 roughly, because if you're going for 2 or 3 people, you need the entire movie.
I gotta say, it was $5 when I was a kid. It's $20 now. That especially if you want to go to a nice theater with the nice seats and it's. I might as well go to a play.
Yeah, and are you going to 5 of those a month, like, or 4 of those a month? No, like if it was okay, August is coming along, or September or June, I guess is when you really get a good like the big
Memorial Day.
Yeah. And it's like if you had 1 or 2 big blockbusters, one of them would most likely succeed because it would get all of the attention, and like that was the problem. So it's not that advertising is definitely bad too right now, but it's also a matter of like we just have too much, and that's not a fatigue problem. That's like I'm going to prioritize. So like I wanted to see Barbie first, so I saw Barbie. And then, I ended up seeing Oppenheimer 3 weeks to a month into theaters. And I was lucky it was still there. And then by the time I'd done those, I'd also done Haunted Mansion at some point because I'm the exception. I'm the person who is feeding this shit because I go every
Yeah, well, I'm the opposite. I don't remember the last movie I saw in a theater. I mean, the pandemic aside, I didn't go for a year before the pandemic because I'm tired of being deaf. I'm like, no matter
Yeah.
they're so loud, and I get it. I get the movie theater is saying, you know what, Matthew has an 81-inch TV screen at home with surround sound. The only thing I can offer him is loud because his screen is big enough. All I can do is make it louder than he can do at home, and I
Yeah.
don't want it louder. I'm like I don't want the seat shaking. That's not why I'm going to the movies. And so
I like
I have no reason to go to the movies. I'd rather watch it at home. They're like it's only negatives to me at the movies. People talking, expensive food. Like the one thing that at home is bad is I have to collect the phones from everybody in the house and say no phones if we're watching the movie. But
that's what I was gonna. That's
but I
what my.
but I can't do that in the theater, and people still pull out their phone in the theater and light up the theater because they're on their phone.
You go to the Alamo. I've never been, but I really want to go, and I cannot go with Sarah because Sarah will get kicked out of that theater because Sarah pulls her fucking phone out every time. But
Yeah, but I was like, it's like that's another thing is like there's little reason to go to the theater if you are privileged enough to have a big screen and surround sound at home, and a
Yeah.
lot of people do. A lot of people that's where they choose to invest their money is in their TV and sound.
That's
So,
just my
by
thought.
the way, in 1980, when Private Benjamin was out, Kramer versus Kramer won Best Picture, and Sally Field won for Norma Ray. That's why she did. Goldie
yeah.
Hawn didn't get to win Best Picture because we liked Sally Field. We really, really liked her.
I'm watching a show with her right now.
Oh, is she over the house?
Winning Time, the Dynasty, the Lakers Dynasty
Uh-huh.
show. It's very good for somebody who knows jack shit about any of it. I knew who Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was, and I knew who Magic Johnson was, and I knew very little else other than that. I like it a lot. But yeah, I started watching it.
I almost met her. She was a spokesperson for one of the GlaxoSmithKline, actually, and Roche co-promoted product, Boniva, and I worked on that product launch, and I almost got to meet her, but I didn't get to go to the event where she was going to be. It didn't work out with my travel plans.
Yeah, that's okay.
Grew up with a little crush on her from Gidget and Flying Nun, and of course
Forrest's mother.
Well, not that. That was way older.
Well,
I was
sure
old.
does care about your.
No, but
Well, the show does care about your education.
from whatchamacallit, from not Cannonball Run, the other one,
Smokey
and the Bandit, and then the movie at the end where Burt Reynolds, and she have a sex scene in the end. Speaking of orgasms, it's the whole thing where he's like, "Did you? She's like, "No." And he goes, "But there's that one moment where you kind of arch your back." She's like, "No." He goes, "But maybe." She goes, "Honey, the worst thing about our lovemaking is you describing our lovemaking afterwards."
Nice. Yeah, I mean, she's an attractive woman. Even she's probably
She's an
10 years
attractive
older than my
Oscar winner.
parents. Yeah, she's a 2-time Oscar winner, right?
Yeah, because the second time is like she was like whole speech, but now I know how to do this. I know how to accept the award now. Last time I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah. Probably a good time to wrap up.
Let's wrap. So we talked about hip hop. So it's time to wrap up. Go ahead and wrap.
Hip hop, hip it to the hip hop. You don't stop.
See, classic rap.
It's okay.
Classic.
It's really tough to call it rap, even by back then's rap standards. B, it was not the first. It was just the first to make it to radio.
Which makes it the first. You're telling Moses rapped. I don't give a shit if Moses rapped.
Okay.
You know, when they say, it was the first shoe.
Do you count Elvis as the first rock star?
No, but he wasn't the first one to make a radio. It was Buddy Holly.
Okay, it had to be a white guy, though, because they weren't playing black rock music on the radio. That's my point, is like sometimes it doesn't get played on the radio because it's black people.
So you're saying
you make it palatable for white people, and that's when it got
So you're saying Sugar Hill Gang were a bunch of white guys. You don't know what you're talking about.
No.
I heard you say that just now. You said they were a bunch of white guys. That's why they got the radio.
It was palatable for white people. And it may have been, I don't remember. There was something about, because there's a studio, like the studio put it together for them. So it very possibly could have been written by white guys.
Could have been.
He can't bust you out with his little
You're such
I'll bust you out with my super sperm.
You're such a Massachusetts racist. Like, it was famous and popular. Must have been written by a white guy. Where you go there right away? It's ridiculous.
Anyway, I just want to say for any of our TikTok viewers / listeners who think that I've never left the house,
There's places I've gone.
I've been to all those fucking states. should just make one video that just pisses off TikTok people every
Summer
time.
states of mind.
Oh, you motherfuckers think I've never? No, I've been to every state on there that you see an orange line on.
Yeah, only the garbage states he hasn't gone to.
I haven't been to Alaska. I think Alaska's not a garbage state. Montana looks pretty beautiful. Oregon, Idaho.
I've been to some of those states, not Idaho.
I have not been to New Mexico.
Oh man,
there are some garbage states I haven't been to. I have not been to
Massachusetts.
Arkansas. I've been to Massachusetts. It is a garbage state. I'm from a garbage state. All right, you got anything to plug?
Nah, nothing new. Except, my brothers and I have been reviewing food over on what was Cravat Attack and is now Brooklyn Brothers Food Review, and we're kind of a little bit goofy with going to random restaurants and stuff. And I'm going to review Devil Dogs in the next couple of days by Drake's Cake. So usually it's restaurant stuff, but occasionally we see something in the grocery store and say, I have to review this. And Devil Dogs is a pastry of my youth, so I'm going to review it. Haven't had it in decades.
Cool. I will just say to our listeners / viewers, thank you for listening / viewing. We would like you, if you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe, like, hit the bell, do the whole thing.
Go over to your podcast app of choice and subscribe to the podcast version.
Yeah, please go on. If you're on Spotify, find us. If you're on Apple, find us. Whatever you're at, it helps us if you just set us up to automatically download. And if you like the subject, listen. And if you don't like the subject, skip it. We understand. We're not, not every episode's for everybody. You should still play it, but don't you can.
Yeah, while you're in the shower, just let it run in the background.
Yeah, and then if you want to give us a review on any of those apps, YouTube doesn't give you reviews, but you can comment. I don't know if that even helps the algorithm. But yeah, it would be great if you want to do any of those things, because we really want. We think that we're having a great time. It's been over a year now. We're at 13 months, and yeah, I looked up at a calendar, not a clock, just so you know. Okay, stop with the faces while I'm trying to do the sales pitch. You kept it so straight for Aaron. There was very, very little goofiness, and
because Louisa edited it.
That's true.
I did sing.
Yeah. If for some reason liking, subscribing, sharing. Oh my God, sharing would be great.
Oh man, sharing is so good.
Yeah, sharing would be awesome. If that's not enough for you, you could get to listen to the episodes early. You could listen to. Honestly, some of the best content is probably behind a paywall now because we've just gotten so wild with some of our shit. I would say that the $3 feed is going to get you a lot. The $10 feed is going to get you everything. And there has been some good shit in the $10 feed. The $3 feed, I would understand, $3 feed is less than $1 a show because it's $3 a month. And we're going to release at least 4 a month. 5 on certain random months where
the moon is right.
Yeah. So you're paying less than $1 an episode. You're helping us to be able to improve the show. And the money is not going to us individually. It's just helping us not pay for shit out of our own pocket at this point. Eventually, I'd love to quit my job and become a podcaster, but that's not going to happen yet.
Yeah, so everyone, thanks for coming by to talking about the big stuff, available for a limited time only at a store near you.
And if you act now, you can have even more big stuff for $3 a month. Why didn't I do that from the beginning? That would have been great.
I don't know. You're not that smart.
Yeah.
And I'm just holding it, waiting for my little gag at the end. So I'm not going to help you out. I'm saving it.
Yeah. I get you a gag. All right. The preceding podcast has been a Chocolate Diamond Media LLC production. Copyright 2023, all rights reserved.